Hi everyone, great to see you. Great to see you in London because, well, London is where we are building Nethermind for years. So it's a home place of my history as a core dev. So becoming a Starknet core dev will be the topic. And the important thing that I have to tell about myself is I don't consider myself a Starknet core dev. So if you would ask, if you would see this on the call, this is the excerpt from like 2020, quite famous conversation at Ethereum core dev call, which started questions about who is a core dev in the ecosystem. Well, so coming back, my name is Tomasz. I work at Nethermind and also at Starknet Foundation. And I think that there are lots of aspects of what core developer in the ecosystem means. And it's much more than just being builder of one or two projects. It's just much more than being responsible for technology, at least for me. I always felt that when you look at the Ethereum ecosystem, it was maybe 1,000 or more people that I would call core devs. People who contributed to the discussion, debate, strategy, who very meaningfully participated in all the research and conversations about where should we go next. Like everyone who was somehow affecting the future of Ethereum was becoming for me a core dev. And I feel that it's a fantastic time now for Starknet to make sure that a lot of new core devs for Starknet come and join that roadmap for the next 3, 5, 7 years, because it's extreme fun. And I wanted to talk about it because I remember that from the last 7 years, starting from entirely outside of Ethereum space, coming to the space where there was a group of core developers that built together a system, built together Ethereum, and trying to belong in a way, not trying very hard, but like realizing that you have somehow to be accepted. And that being a core developer in the ecosystem is not exactly something that you call yourself to be. It's something that at some point just comes and people start reacting like, okay, this person really is influential for the future of the protocol. So hopefully people here, people that are listening to us online, will be the future core devs of Starknet ecosystem. So I'm saying here, it's a strategy. It's thinking about what the future of Starknet ecosystem will be. It's the support for the network itself. Like when something goes down, when there is major bug on the network, you will see a handful of people, and sometimes surprisingly small handful of people, that will appear even in the middle of the night to support the network, to start checking the data, start analyzing the logs, and trying to solve the problem. And after every single issue like this, you recognize who the core devs are in the given ecosystem. So, research, engineering, this seems to be coming very naturally. Okay, these are core devs, people who are participating in the research about the protocol, about ZK, people who build the core clients and so on. I'll show you a few examples. But the debate, the governance about the future of the network, if it becomes properly decentralized, when it becomes properly decentralized, it is becoming properly decentralized. Starknet is getting there closer and closer every single week. Then it becomes extremely important to see, all right, core developers are coming from all the different directions. They come together to calls, they come together to forums, they meet formally, informally, and generate something that ideally would be very visible to the community. This community starts to see there are people that will always support this network and they will tell us what it means. They will tell us where probably we should go, so we can start also expressing our worries, our complaints, and someone will have a conversation with us. So where do you start as a core developer, your core developer story? I think that depending on where you are on your career path, it's totally different path for you. And whichever one you take, it's valid, right? So you just started, maybe you're at university, you probably need to do some self-learning, like download the materials from online, watch YouTube videos, start reading, and the harder things you read, the better. You already done some self-learning, go for internship or look for jobs in the ecosystem. start submitting the PRs to open source repositories. You have years of experience, maybe try to rebuild a major part of the system yourself, to understand it deeply and to think maybe you could do a major architectural change to the system. And many people came to Ethereum this way. You had established set of engineers who worked on something for 2 or 3 years, and it was coming someone from outside with years of experience in another industry, and they would rebuild it and say, well, when I build it from scratch, it looks totally different, and there's this major invention of mine that you can introduce to the system where everyone thought that you will never change it. Any other path is good. Just start going in the journey. It's super fun. Learning materials, obviously you'll find lots of things on the online pages about Starknet. The thing is, ideally you would go as far as you possibly can. So challenge yourself, read things that you don't understand, spend a lot of time on the hardest mathematical problems. If you are engineer, to try some maths. If you're mathematical, to try some engineering, and so on and so on. And with the Cairo lang, obviously like learning Cairo, maybe sometimes overwhelming at the beginning, but super convenient because it's a Rust syntax in the end, so use it forever. Building with Cairo feels very, very powerful. So you'll be using the entire force of Starknet to attack all the problems that you want to attack. You can also start a fun way. So there'll be lots of things that introduce you. And when I was starting learning Ethereum years ago, I picked up crypto zombies. That was my first thing to learn Solidity, which means that probably for going to Node Guardians on Starknet would be a very natural start for however deep you want to go. And I always have to invite everyone to Nethermind internship program. It's a start that is confirmed that works for many people to become core developers of Starknet. We went with over 300 people for the internship program at Nethermind. It's 3 months together. It's 3 months when you can try anything. Ideally, try something that feels too hard for you, that feels like you need a mentor. And ideally, you start it when you already done some self-learning and theory. So you don't want to start an internship that should unblock for you the networking, it should unblock for you the hard problems. If you haven't done much of this initial journey yourself, like put some effort and then to try to get onboarded to the ecosystem as fast as possible. More places to start. I think that we see amazing community being built around keeping Starknet strange, around Abdel, and with the Only Das supporting all the open source contribution. So Starknet creates for you multiple paths towards its core development efforts. And for the next few years, there'll be lots and lots of work. There is also an example of the Hero Studios, so the incubator by Argent and Starknet, and probably many more appearing. So consistently, I'll be missing some very important parts of the ecosystem, so you have to explore it as well. Recently, I noticed, okay, so what is one of the hardest things being built now and being built in the open? So Stu, the Stone Prover, the second version of it with the Circle Stark, something that was just announced, published on 29th of February. It feels like a great opportunity. Like if you want to find something absolutely hardest and understand the very depth of Starknet, this is probably the place to go. The place to go and not understand anything is probably a good start. I remember, again, working on Ethereum and learning more algebra that I've done a lot at university, but then coming back to it, enjoying it a lot, and suddenly going through the white papers, through the research papers, to understand how some of the pre-compiles on Ethereum worked. And this was not my typical work thing, right? I was an engineer mostly. But it was massive fun, and understanding something in depth allows you to solve the simple problems much faster. Kakarot and ZK EVM. Well, I think it's really, really worth mentioning because consistently playing with the EVM, playing with the core engine that is processing any program on Starknet, on Ethereum. So in your case, it will be Starknet VM, Cairo VM, and ZK VM, like actually looking at how the EVM from Ethereum can be converted into Cairo. It gives you a lot of fun of seeing later, when analyzing Cairo programs, seeing how they execute it on the lower level. And this improves a lot of understanding of how the optimizations can be done, where the security risks in the systems are, and where the major improvements can be done, and where the absolutely low-level obstacles to solving some of the problems. So going to that engine of things allows you to understand things that everyone who will ask you to help with the integration with the ecosystem, everyone who will ask you about building something big on Starknet, you'll be able to answer this question with lots of confidence. Gaming. Well, not everyone has to come through the core engineering depths of things. I said Node-Guardians start with gaming engines as well. Why? Because they're being shown over and over as a great start for the super in-depth engineering in general. Like people from gaming companies come consistently to companies that have large distributed systems handling, very complex algorithmic problems to solve. And they come from gaming places and they are actually excelling at anything later. So probably going to places like Dojo, Katana, anything in the Starknet ecosystem around gaming will be a good start for you as well. And why now? Because there'll be lots and lots of talking about decentralizations of L2s. For the last year, we spent a lot of time talking about L2 PBS, about how to make sure that we optimize the proof verifications, proof aggregation, and so on. We want to have decentralization on sequencer. We want to have client diversity. We want to have prover diversity. So this is good time to start being a Starknet core developer again. And once again, I highlighted the dates when it's being published. You see, this is last month. There is a great momentum in the Starknet ecosystem and a good time to join. There's also mention of Juno, so we're working now on publishing the versions of peer-to-peer syncing. This is pretty complex part of any blockchain network, communication over P2P, consistently hard to debug and improve, and lots of optimizations usually happen in that space. So which teams you can work with? The full node teams. Here you have Juno, Pathfinder, Deoxys, from Gather Labs, Papyrus from Starkware. Juno is delivered by Nethermind, Pathfinder by the Equilibrium Labs. And you can also try to build your own system. So when I was starting building the Nethermind client for Ethereum, there were already 4 or 5 clients. 2 or 3 of them got sunset by their teams later. So I was building that for fun, for myself initially. And it happened to be that it started growing, attracting a lot of people to start contributing because the goal was very ambitious. So this is once again a good way to start as a core developer. Set something so ambitious for yourself that just by sheer ambition of the task, you will attract a lot of people to work with you because I think, okay, the journey is long enough and giving enough opportunities for me to join. And more and more and more, and you can find on OnlyDust, you can find through links all the systems, libraries that are always good to start. And why they matter for the core development, because when I said that there is 1,000 core developers on Ethereum, every now and then on the core dev call, there will be someone coming from the library team, from the language team, from the compiler team, and it would make significant contributions, answering questions about the next fork, next upgrade, and so on. Infrastructure teams. Once again, whenever we were upgrading the network on Ethereum, the infrastructure teams were coming to the calls or informal chats or formal chats on Discord, and they would say what they're expecting or what would be difficulties in upgrading the network. And those contributions are core to the health of the network. Wallets, obviously. So Argent, Bravos, but also the Snap for MetaMask. And all of those also in Ethereum ecosystem, contribute to the discussion about the future of the network. And the governance on Starknet. So once again, I mentioned that a big part of being core developer is participation in the governance, discussion, debate. And you can look at the Starknet improvement proposals, the same way in the Ethereum ecosystem, the Ethereum improvement proposals. You can look at the governance pages. You can become a delegate. You can look at what Starknet Builders Council is doing. We also hope that the Starknet Research Council is appearing. And what will be happening as we continue decentralizing Starknet, there will be more and more things for the ecosystem community to observe, the calls that will happen, the discussions that will be important. You'll start seeing coverage in media of those discussions and start feeling how you influence the future of the large ecosystem built on Starknet. Thank you so much.